Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Paul Brown Show. This evening, my special guest will be Congressman Mel Watt's 12th District. It's your 11th term. What do you base your success on?
Well, I think the success that I've had as a member of Congress is based on what I was doing before I went to Congress, really. I was born and raised in this community in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Grew up here, went to public schools here, went away to undergraduate school at Chapel Hill and to Yale Law School, but came back in the early 70s and spent a lot of time in the community because I came to a law firm that was in the process of changing the Charlotte community. And I've witnessed all of the changes that have taken place, many of the changes that have taken place in our community over the years. Going to Congress was kind of a logical extension of what I was already doing, and so I think that's been very beneficial to me. I've seen the challenges of our community, and I've seen the successes of our community, and I think I have had a better understanding of what those challenges are and what opportunities can be there if we take advantage of them to create opportunity for everybody in the community. So I think that's probably sums it up pretty well.
And I applaud you, sir, because you've done a great job representing the 12th District.
Thank you.
And I just want to ask a question as far as gun control. Do you think there should be more restriction on guns in our community?
Well, the Supreme Court has now said that subject to certain limitations, the Second Amendment has as much force and impact as the First and the Third and the Fourth and all of the rest of the amendments. So in a sense, I guess that would lead one to the conclusion that possibly anybody's entitled to have guns anywhere, anytime they want. But there are reasonable limitations on every amendment to the Constitution. The First Amendment says that we should make no laws related to that would restrict speech or religion, but obviously we have multiple laws that restrict speech and religion. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. That's the general legal rule. That would be the ultimate free speech if you could say anything, anywhere, anytime. And the same thing applies in gun control. Reasonable constraints can be placed on the possession, use, ownership, sale of guns, just like we can place reasonable restrictions on speech. And we've placed some restrictions on guns. We probably need to consider placing additional restrictions on the sale and use of guns. And so I'm open to that, although I'm not, it's not one of the things that I'm out there agitating for on a continuing basis, just like I'm not out there agitating to control speech more and more and more. It's all of these things have to be done with some degree of moderation.
I know we have a big issue in our, not only community, but country on unemployment. How do we solve that problem?
Well, I think first of all, you got to understand that there are a number of jobs that are out there unfilled, and they are unfilled because a lot of people don't have the qualifications that the jobs require, and that's because the job market has evolved over a period of time from an agrarian society, agricultural society, to a manufacturing society to a technological society now. And so the first thing you got to do to get people employed is to get them educated to the levels that they need to be to take advantage of the jobs that are out there that exist. The estimate is that if we just fill the vacant jobs that are out there that people don't possess the qualifications for, we would bring down unemployment by 1.5% to 2%. Now that wouldn't get you everywhere you need. Right. So you need to be creating additional jobs, and I think part of that challenge is bringing manufacturing and other jobs back to the United States that have gone offshore looking for lower wages. Primarily, that's why they've gone offshore. And a lot of companies are now realizing that lower wages without the skill sets and commitment of workers is not as important as having good workers who are willing to go to work and do the work at high quality levels. So we're seeing a lot of companies that are bringing jobs back to the United States, and some of that has to do with tax policy. Okay. So as with most issues that we deal with, there's no one answer to solving unemployment problem or the employment issue. There are multiple things that need to be done and can be done to address the issue.
Well, how about the individuals that are probably considered to be overqualified? You know, the individuals that have the higher education but still can't get that job.
Well, overqualification is, you have to talk about what that means. You can be overqualified for one thing and underqualified for the thing that's available, right? So we've got a lot of people who have college degrees, even, who still don't have the technology skills to do technology jobs that are available. So you can be very qualified for some set of jobs and still not very qualified for the jobs that for other set of jobs. I'm underqualified to be a baseball player, probably qualified to be a lawyer or a congressman, underqualified to be a computer operator.
Yes, sir.
I'm just not technologically savvy, and a lot of the jobs now require technological knowledge and savvy, and that's why our community colleges have become so important, because actually in solving the joblessness problem or the unemployment problem, community colleges have become a lot more important than four-year colleges, because they can train people in 6 months to do the skills that they need to have to actually do the jobs, rather than giving them a 4-year general education that sometimes doesn't train you for much of anything other than you're able to hold up a piece of paper and say, I got a diploma. Or a degree, I guess, is the right term for it.
12th District at one time was home to the second largest concentration of financial services entities of any congressional district in the country, second only to the district that included New York Wall Street area. What did you base that success to, or being in that?
Well, it became, Charlotte became, in the 12th District, became a home to financial services companies, primarily because North Carolina had banking laws that were friendly to financial services businesses. North Carolina is one of the first states to allow interstate branching of banks. Bank of America, it wasn't Bank of America at that time, I guess it was Bank of Charlotte, then it became Bank of North Carolina, then it became NCNB, then it became Nations Bank, and then Bank of America. But It started by being able to put branches in other states when a lot of other states were not allowing that to their home-based financial services businesses to do that. So I've been blessed to represent a district that still has the second largest concentration next to Wall Street of financial services industries. And it's been a fun district to represent for that reason, because sometimes banks have been responsible and sometimes banks have not been responsible. And so I have to use the carrot sometimes, and I have to use the stick sometimes, so to speak, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
So, coming out of a law practice that in which I had represented small business clients and understood the language of business, I think has been very beneficial to me in understanding the issues, and then ending up from the very first day in Congress serving on the Financial Services Committee has been extremely beneficial. So I've had to understand the consumer aspects and the business aspects and try to balance those. And in many respects, that's what good legislators do, find out what the interests of people are and try to balance them, because that's what legislation should be all about.
And that's one of the reasons why you've been so successful.
Well, I would like to think so. All of those things go into being able to represent the district and stay aligned with the people that I represent, yet still not adverse to the financial services interests, which employ the people that I represent. So you're walking the tightrope all the time.
And another issue that we have are the youth and dropout. How do we go about in getting a handle on that situation? Because this is our future.
Well, actually, that's more of a local issue than it is a federal issue. And I've been blessed the last few weeks to be out here on the campaign trail listening to people talk about that, the superintendent of public instruction, the people who are running for county commission, all trying to figure out. And I think we're making progress, because statewide we've moved from 67% graduation rate up to about 81% now. So we still got 19 more points to go to get every child educated. And that's to some extent why we passed No Child Left Behind, because we wanted to incentivize states and local communities to place emphasis not on the averages, not worry about the 81% and say we've improved from 67% to 81%, but the whole theory of No Child Left Behind was to place emphasis on every individual child, right?
Yes, sir.
And so part of the way we prevent dropping out is to emphasize the needs of every child individually, and try to address those needs as they arise, whether they are the school breakfast and lunch programs, because some kids come to school hungry. You can't learn when you're hungry. Title I reading programs, federal program that emphasizes reading, because when people can't read, they get frustrated and they drop out of school. In fact, the highest correlation between prison populations, there's no higher correlation for people who go to prison than they can't read, right? Yes, that's kind of counterintuitive when you say that to people, but people get really frustrated when they can't read. They get embarrassed when they can't read, so they drop out. They go and try to shield themselves from the embarrassment